So in an earlier video we finished this problem and we got our equation y equals 3 cosine 2 pi x minus pi over 4 plus 1. But I just want to add a postscript to this discussion because I think it's worth talking a little bit about how there are a lot of different ways the answer to this problem could have been written. One observation I'd like to make is that you could have written the answer with the extra set of parentheses. You could have written y equals 3 cosine. Now there's the b value 2 pi. Then comes the second set of parentheses, in which case if you use the second set of parentheses you would write x minus the phase shift. The phase shift was 1/8 inside the square brackets, parentheses, with a plus 1 on the end. That's the same answer. That's exactly equivalent, and I really don't mind if you would leave it that way. Just notice if you distribute the 2 pi, you get 2 pi x minus 2 pi over 8. In parentheses, the square brackets would be gone, and 2 pi x minus the 2 pi over 8 will reduce to pi over 4. So you see that c value. So if you prefer to write the answer this way, and I often do, that's a totally acceptable way of writing the result for this problem. It turns out that there are many, many different equivalent forms for the answer to this problem. And I want to go back to the graph because there's always some folks who prefer to use the sine function. If you want to use sine instead of cosine, the a value, the b value, the period, and the d value, the vertical shift, are all the same. A, b, and d come out the same. But if you use sine, the phase shift is going to be different because you have to work from a different fundamental period. So I'm not pushing this idea. It's only if you think it's the easiest way to go, you could use sine. So for instance, to use sine here, you might start with a period at this point, go on the midline, go up, down, up, and there we see one fundamental period of the sine function. The difference here is that the phase shift would be 1/8 to the left, and so if I were using sine, I could write y equals 3 sine 2 pi. I'm going to use my double parentheses here method. X, I want to use a plus sign because I'm shifting to the left by 1/8. So the a value is the same, the b value is the same, the d value is the same. Y equals 3 sine 2 pi x plus, when I distribute, I'll get plus pi over 4 plus 1, is also an acceptable answer for that problem. And there are actually many other possible ways you could write the answer, because you could start your fundamental period in all sorts of different positions using either cosine or sine for each of those. So I just wanted you to see this alternate sine answer mainly, and I'm not pushing it. I do think cosine is the easiest way to solve that problem.